Right, let's start here. Mop-up operations continue in Boksburg following a fatal gas tanker explosion that claimed 18 lives. Devastated families are now preparing to bury their loved ones. The truck driver who hit a low-lying bridge resulting in the explosion is expected in court on Wednesday. That's tomorrow. Let's go to our reporter Manqoba Mchunu, who is in Boksburg for us on the ground just to tell us more. Manqoba, MEC Lebgang Maile has just held a media briefing. What came out of that?
Well, certainly, Masiko, as you can understand, that officials are still trying to grapple with the tragedy that happened here in this area. Of course, it's still a crime scene, and there are still officials out on the scene assessing the different damages to infrastructure that have been caused. And that's what the provincial government has also been doing in terms of the damages that have been caused. And the MEC briefing us just earlier on. He's here with me, Masiko, joining me now. MEC Maile, thank you for your time. Let's just talk about your assessment so far as the infrastructure damage is concerned. Of course, this hospital was one of those that was affected when that blast took place.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us. There are a few areas that were affected: the casualty emergency unit, the theatre ward, the X-ray ward, and the antenatal ward. And the damages have been limited to roofs, ceilings, windows, and doors. There's been mechanical related damages which are estimated to be about 250,000, electrical related damages which are estimated to be 18 million rands. Our quantity surveyor has been able to do this work. It was done internally, which demonstrates the capacity of the state. We're able to respond promptly, and we have a sense of what are the key and urgent areas that would have to be attended to, and that's what we have been prioritizing.
In terms of this hospital, of course, we know that some staff members were also injured during this attack. We know that there have been some fatalities. Have you been able to establish at all if the operations here are still continuing at the hospital, and how long it will take those, to fix those damages that have been caused?
I think things are stable now. The CEO of the hospital was here. The staff is back, despite the fact that some of their colleagues were injured, about 13 of them, and about 24 patients on the day of the incident. It has not been easy. It has been traumatic for some of them because they've seen what happened, they've experienced it, they've felt the impact, and they've seen some of their colleagues and patients being affected, and they had to attend to them despite the fact that they were affected as well and they were in shock. I think that is very traumatic, but we are proud of them, and we want to encourage them to continue working hard, doing well, and we'll also play our part as the government to create a conducive environment, at least from the infrastructure point of view, ensure that they are not inconvenienced. Things that have to be fixed must be fixed immediately and promptly.
In terms of MEC houses that were destroyed, we know there were several houses that were affected, and residents there were affected. What are the plans in terms of moving those people? Are they going to be moved at all?
Initially, we were told there were about 5 houses that were damaged, and we agreed on the day of the incident with the member of the mayoral committee responsible for housing in Ekurhuleni that they will take that responsibility, and if there's a need for additional resources, we will definitely make that available. But we have a voucher program which is run by the Housing Development Agency at the national level for the procurement of material. So that is the program we will tap into to help these affected families.
And just finally, do we know whether there are still patients at the hospital, or has it been closed? What's the situation like now?
Well, as I've said, the situation is stable, the staff is here, and I think there's matters that are related to health, and I think the MEC responsible will be able to communicate those. I'm responsible for infrastructure, and I want to make sure that we create a conducive environment, we support them, and they will guide us if they want us to close the hospital, if they want us to move faster, which areas to prioritize. So we work based on their instruction. We will not determine for them what must happen unless there's a life-threatening situation. But at this point, through our engineers, we have established that the structure is still sound and it has integrity.
Okay, thank you for your time, MEC. That was MEC for Human Settlements and Infrastructure Development here in Gauteng. Just giving us a briefing, Masigo. Of course, as you can hear, Masigo, the integrity of the hospital itself has not been compromised, but there has been extensive damage to the tune of over 18 million rand that was caused as a result of this. But the sheer scale of damage, of course, outside the hospital premises, that's something that families are still trying to grapple with. The loss of life that has been suffered and the human tragedy that is unfolding here in this particular community.
And Manqoba, before I let you go, you also spoke to a witness. What did they tell you?
Well, Masigo, many of the people that were there saying that, what happened on that day is something that is still etched in their mind. This particular person that I spoke to earlier on, Masigo, just describing the sheer horror, of what unfolded on that day. She was, one of the people that had come to try and assist some of the families, hoping that they were going to assist those that had been injured in this incident. And she says, Masigo, when she arrived at the scene, it was just, unbelievable what she saw. It resembled a movie. She says if you're not there to see it, it's hard for you to even try and understand what was going on at the time. There were people that were burning. There were people that were just, strewn all around. The bodies were strewn all around. And this is something that she says she cannot forget, Masigo. She told us that this is the third time now in a row that she's coming back to this particular scene. And in a way for her, this is a way of trying to find closure, a way of trying to heal, to see, the families and to console the families and to be with them in their grief. And of course, we also spoke to one of the family members who lost 5 of their family members, her fiance, as well as 4 of her nephews that died in that particular incident. Of course, all of them quite devastated. They're still in shock, Masigo. They're still battling to come to terms with what happened there. And, I was just thinking, Masigo, just standing on the grass there, just next to the scene, everywhere that you stand, as a journalist, you're told this is where a body was, this is where somebody was lying. So that's how real this is. The tragedy is here in Boksburg that unfolded here. And of course, we're still seeing many people coming to lay flowers, some of them coming with prayers, hoping to give some condolences to the family. But take a listen, Masigo, to what that person that I spoke to earlier on had to say about what they witnessed and saw.
It's hard, so it's difficult to explain. We were here moments after it happened. The amount of people lying around, the amount of people running around. What you see here is just a small part of this whole tragedy. People lying, communities running around, assisting with water, family members looking for their people, medics running around, fire brigades. It's unbelievable to think that this can cause so much heartache, so much sore. Small children, I've got a 3-year-old myself, and the damage, the sore that those kids have, the lifeless bodies lying around. It's something like this happens overseas. You see this in movies. For us that was here moments later, it felt like a movie because my brain is still too small to understand that something so neglect can cause so much damage and so much heartache to so many people.
All right, ENC reporter Manqoba Mchunu live.